Welcome to the studio. Today we go with RisknFlow again. I have an amazing guest, an amazing entrepreneur, a friend of mine today in the studio, body painting and makeup artist, Riina Laine. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor to have you here today, Riina, and I'm super excited to hear about your entrepreneurial story and risks related to it. Also, I'm interested in to know more about this transformative effect of body painting that you talk about a lot. And as I have an honor to be part of your projects as well, be painted by you. So I'm sure we're gonna dwell into conversation about those topics. But first, we want to know, Riina, who are you and where you come from?
Well, as you already introduced me, my name is Riina. I'm a body painting and makeup artist, have been for 23 years now. And I live in Helsinki, but I work globally.
Wonderful. But you're from Helsinki. Tell about us your childhood. You have born and raised here. How was it to grow in the capital area of Finland?
Well, actually, yes, I was born in Helsinki, but we moved to Nummela when I was 5 or 6 years. I think 5 years old. 6 years old. Sorry. And I went to school in Nummela. That's where I grew up, like my whole childhood and teenage years. And after high school, I took a year off, studied English and in a community college, and did some work to raise money. And then I moved to England it was before millennium, 1999. That's when I moved to England and to study to be a makeup artist at Leicester College. And I lived 2 years there, and then 2001 I moved back to Finland and to Helsinki, and here I am now.
Okay, you mentioned Nummela. I'm sure that doesn't tell a lot about the listeners. Nummela is how far from Helsinki? Is it the countryside? How was it?
Yeah, it's about 45 to 50 minute drive away from Helsinki, about 45 kilometers. And it's grown since I moved away from there. But at the time, I think there were about 10,000 people living there. So it was a very small village town, very safe and kind of a nice place to grow up, I think, without the bustling city and all that. So it was kind of like, everybody knew each other. And, we had the fields and the forests where we played at. And, it was by a lake. So it was really, really nice. Yeah.
How would you describe it? You mentioned it was like a free and you could go and come as you like. How would you describe? Do you see it as a pro thing to grow there, like a good thing to have a childhood?
Yeah. And especially I think compared to what kind of a place our kids are living nowadays, I think it was, in a way, I feel privileged that I grew up back then and not now, because, no cell phones, you were out and about running and playing, and kind of, in a way, it was good that your parents didn't know what you were doing. and then, you just came home. Yeah, you just came home for dinner, and it was you were kind of more like on your own, I feel, and it was. I think it was safe as well, compared to what the world is like nowadays.
Yeah, I'm sure I can relate to, as myself being a child in the 90s and all that, without any cell phones. Of course, it's nowadays, I think it's a privilege as we already see the effects on the
Yeah.
small kids, even like a newborns, almost to
Yeah.
this
And also,
sort of
I think,
addiction.
yeah. And I think that the way we lived as children, I think, we didn't have, like, well, my dad had a computer, but, you could, no, only he could do something with it. So, we didn't have not just the mobile phones, but iPads and laptops and all that. We didn't even have a video recorder in my house when I was younger. So, when you got bored, you just had to be creative and, come up with your games on your own. And I don't know if children still play those games that we did back then. But I feel that nowadays it's just that, if you get bored, you just get you're just given an iPad or a mobile phone, and, there you go, entertain yourself with that. So I think, I don't know, but my gut feeling is that we had to use and develop our creativity a lot more.
Yeah, and we can see that also in your body painting career, that the really the creativity flourishing on your work as well. But being born in Nummela and being your childhood years there, did you get this school? How long did you live there then, all your school path?
Yes. Yeah. And then I moved to England after my matriculation exams. So yeah.
What led to you decide to go to study abroad? Because I'm not sure if it was like a common thing to do.
No. At the time, 1999, back in the days. Yeah, obviously we had the internet and the mobile phones being a thing, but yeah, I was actually it's a little bit interesting story, because I was always really good at school. I was the best in class in my high school, and I remember I think I was in the first or second grade in high school when our principal actually she called me to her office because she had heard that I was thinking of not going to a university, because I wasn't, like, I had a really good memory back then, so I think that was probably one of the things that saved me at school. And but I wasn't really a reading type. Like, I hated essay writing and all that, and I had mentioned somewhere to someone that I'm thinking of something, if there was something else that I could do than just go to university. So our principal actually, she called me to her office and gave me a lecture that she had heard this rumor, and that tell me that it's not right. I want to know, you need to know that you have to go to university, because otherwise you'll be wasting your talents. And, I noticed that you only have the compulsory courses of chemistry and physics. Why is that? Because you have the long course in maths, and, and you have the brain for it. There are so little women in this field. We need more women here. You have to. She was, she was very persistent. And for me, I did love maths. I mean, it was great, yeah. But I also loved arts, and but I suppose I never saw that as a career. And being a good girl, I did apply to university after high school. I got into Jyväskylä University maths department, and in the end, I decided not to accept that position, that placement, but to go and study abroad to be a makeup artist. And I can't quite remember how I came up with this idea. I had, my boyfriend at the time, he was at this amateur theatre, playing there, acting there, and he took me to the backstage, and I got to see the makeup artists working there. And they told me that if I, I think that was the first time I really saw that makeup could be a career. And they told me that, if you really want to become a makeup artist, you shouldn't study in Finland because the courses here are very short and they cost a lot of money. So if you want to become a makeup artist, you should apply to a college abroad, and to get a good course which lasts longer, because it's a hands-on profession. You have to you just don't learn it in a few months. And I don't know why, how I made the decision, how I had the courage to make that decision, because everyone was telling me that, everyone was expecting me to go to uni. So, but yeah, so I do remember the conversation I had with my parents. I told them that I'm not accepting the position at the uni. I want to go, I want to go to England to study to be a makeup artist. And my dad was like really supportive. He was like, yes, that's a good idea. But he was the only one. My mom was like, she was terrified. She was like, no, Riina, no, you're wasting your talents. And, oh, no, you can't do that. And that's not a proper career. And, but I had made my decision, and, I think I was quite determined, to take my, own road kind of thing already at the time. Because of, as I said, internet existed and mobile phones existed, but they were not as common, for example, in England as they were in Finland. So I ordered prospectuses, like these proper books from different colleges, and then I applied to 6 in England, and I got into 5, and I chose the one that replied to me. Like, I got really like proper normal mail, not email, but normal mail.
All right.
And it's like, why? What is that? So and they mentioned that because Finland is in EU, and you don't have to pay this overseas student fees. So it was kind of like, I thought, okay, well, this one they replied first, and they knew this fact, because the other colleges, they all of them didn't know that. So and then I took a year off in between, because as I applied, they also requested, they required me to have a language test certificate. So I studied 4 months in community college to get the Cambridge proficiency level certificate in English, and then I worked in the tax office here in Finland for 5 months when gathering money, and and off I went. And it really wasn't as easy as it is nowadays, because like the world is really small now. But at the time, it felt big. It was my first time moving away from home. I remember I had a suitcase, my backpack, and a cassette player, and the school's address, and that's it. So it was huge. It was really, really big thing. Yeah, at the time.
Wow, that sounds really interesting, and really interesting crossroads you have had to go to or to choose the study to go to University of Mathematics, or start to work with the arts, or start to work to study with the arts. You mentioned that you already had this interest to arts already in your childhood, your teenage years. Can you tell us a little bit how was it in your everyday life already in early days, or where did this enthusiasm come?
Yeah, I think I was definitely encouraged at home to draw and paint and do crafts. And I mean, obviously at the time, as I said, we didn't have the iPads and the all this technology, so you had to get creative. And I do remember I still have. Oh, actually, I think my parents had the drawing. I think I was 2 years old or something, that I had drawn a portrait of my family, my parents and myself. To be a 2-year-old and draw that well, I suppose already proved that I had the visual eye as well and the skills for that. But even though I was successful at some drawing competitions at school and all that, but I never thought that art could be a career. I always thought that I'm technically really good, but I never thought that I was creative as inherently, so that I could, like, I felt like I could draw what people told me to draw, but that I couldn't come up with something new myself, which in a way is a bit weird thinking now that I think about it, but at the time, that's what I thought. And also, I never thought that it could be a career because it was so much fun to draw and paint. And, I don't know why, but I always had that idea that, your job is to make money. And that's the thing. And job is supposed to be not, I wouldn't say job is supposed to be boring, but it's not supposed to be fun. It you have your hobbies for fun, and then you have your job to make the money. So that was kind of, I think, always my that's what I always thought when I was younger. But nowadays, I know actually your job should be fun, because that's the money is the plus side, obviously, because you have to support yourself, you have to make a living, but doing something for living that you actually love, that's the best thing, because you spend so much time at work. Your job is part of your everyday life. So if someone complains to me now that they don't enjoy their job, I always say, what would you love doing then? Change it then. Go after what you want and what you love doing.
Yeah, definitely. That's what these stories are all about, to take these leaps towards your maybe entrepreneurial career, your life change, maybe even. And what you mentioned, that already when you were 2 years old, they've noted sort of your talent. And actually, what is interesting, that I heard some story about, of course, we are human beings, and we are like animals who have hands, that there is some kind of unique and specific connection in the brain, and when you do something like physically with your hands. So when you're really doing your job with your hands, you I don't remember what was it exact scientific thing, but it connects somehow your brain and what you do differently. Maybe you learn more effectively, for example, if you write things down rather than you write it with computer, and there is huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But then you went to England, even where your mom wasn't too eager that you were going.
Yeah.
So what's that first risk you took?
I think
on your early career.
Yes, and I think it was, in a way, as I said, I was brave to take that step. I didn't know anybody who would have left abroad on their own at the time to study. Most people that I knew, they were taking an exchange program, like they were studying here at college or university, and then the Erasmus exchange program, for example, through that spent a few months abroad. So it was a brave thing, I think. Also in terms of, as I said, doing something that everybody else except my dad were against, and kind of telling me that it's a mistake to do that. And but it feels like I think I had been there for about a year or something. Then even my mom accepted that, okay, and admitted that maybe this was the right route for you. But I wouldn't say that it was easy. It was, and I mean, obviously, I was really good. In general, I was really good with the languages, and I knew English really, really well. But having spent there 3 months speaking English, I understood English, but I didn't understand spoken English, because obviously it's a lot different than written one. And also trying to speak it myself, which we weren't taught at school, as you remember. It was more about the grammar. So so it was really heavy. And after 3 months, I remember calling my mom in the middle of the night saying, I'm coming home. I can't stand this anymore. It was so stressful, and I was just so sad and missing home and everything. But then one of my teachers, she persisted. She kind of persuaded me to stay, and saying that give it a few weeks, and we'll try to make you feel more comfortable. And because I was the only foreign student in our course, so obviously they forgot that my English isn't that as good as theirs, and I couldn't understand everything. And but yeah, so I gave it a few weeks, and then I stayed. It just obviously nobody knew whether I would make my career after that. It's and especially because I wanted to come back to Finland after that. I was just so fed up with well, things just somehow run more easier here in Finland, and we don't have the carpets. And at the time we had in our student house, we had the cold water tap and the hot water tap separately, and it just the English housing at the time wasn't really good. So yeah, so I wanted to move back to Finland, but obviously not knowing anybody here, it was it was a rough start, but it was as we now know, a risk worth taking. And yeah, I think because I felt the passion for the field, I felt the passion for makeup, and it just but it required a lot of persistence, let's put it that way.
Well, it seems it paid off. You stayed the 2 years there. What was the biggest learning from there that still you have on these days from that?
Oh, in England?
2 years. Yeah, in England, yes.
I think, well, first of all, I lived in 2 different houses with loads of people. First year house, we had 7 people, and the second year house, we had 6 people. Different cultures. I had housemates from Japan, Malaysia, Wales, England, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Norway, and it's so it was kind of like a mixture of different cultures, and I obviously made lifelong friends, but it also taught me a lot about like how to get along with different kinds of people, and as I said, different cultures. And I felt that it was really rich life that I lived at the time, like even though with student budget, but rich in the sense of socializing. And also one thing that, as I mentioned, it was my career choice. It was something that I chose that road, and I stayed behind my decision. I didn't give up, even though I remember that phone call to my mom in the middle of the night. It was like I was really, really, really homesick at the time, and it just felt all so hard. It just felt like my brain can't handle all this English thing. It just, but it taught me that, if you really want something, and even though it gets really hard, you can't make it through, and you can, stick to it. And it's not, in a way, I feel that you shouldn't give up if it's something that you really want to do. So, yeah, I think those are probably the lessons that I learned and some things that I carry with me.
It seems you have this persistence nature. You really, if you decide something, you go for it. Is this something that come from your parents, or have you maybe been like a stubborn child who want to do what she wants, or what do you think? Does it come from your family?
Well, I think I've always known what I want, and I don't know whether I've been stubborn, but I do know that when I've been very, very young, like in my early years, like when I've learned to speak, basically, and learned that I'm separate from my parents, I know my dad often reminds me that I repeated in Finnish. I said ite, minä ite, which means myself, me myself, and meaning that every time I was somewhere, like they were doing something for me, I had to try something. I always demanded that I need to do it myself. I want to try. I want to do it. I want to do it myself, and it's yeah, I suppose I've always kind of been just wanted to do things on my own way. And also I don't have siblings, so I've kind of learned to get along alone, like play with alone and create entertain myself somehow, create stuff on my own obviously I had loads of friends when I was a child, loads of friends. But obviously, like holiday season, for example, everybody else went to summer camps, summer cottages, and I was at home. So, yeah, I don't know if it comes from the childhood, the persistence, stubbornness, because I wouldn't say I'm stubborn, but I'm very determined. Yeah. And I have strong will, and if I want something, I really focus on that. So yeah,
that's wonderful. Also, I can relate to this. Me myself wanting to do things on my own way. Maybe I have something like that. Well, I had a brother. Then I can tell you a funny story just quickly because.
Go on.
Maybe I've been the stubborn child, because when we went to the summer cottage and there we went on the boat, and nearby the seashore there's the rock where there were snakes enjoying the sun. And my brother was reaching out the snakes, and I don't remember, I was maybe 4 or something like that. And I was screaming to my brother bad words that come out of there. And I was like, you cannot go there. And I really wanted to show this, like a demand on him that you cannot do this. And a little bit also wanting to show how the things are done, and always
right, to have control.
Yeah. But yeah, just funny things from childhood you can think of. But when, Riina, you said you wanted to come back to Finland after those 2 years in England, what happened then? Because you were studying makeup, right? Not body painting, or was it did you know what was body painting back then?
Well, yeah, I kind of knew about body painting because during the makeup course that I did in England, we had body painting a little bit there, and I actually even have some kind of a certificate for that, face and body painting certificate. But now I know, like after 23 years, I know that it was just the scratch of the surface, really. But I knew we were introduced to body painting. Let's put it this way. And but when I moved back to Finland, you didn't really see body painting anywhere. So it didn't really, it wasn't like on my list of options to do, because as I said, there were no jobs available. And I do remember I worked 4 years as a makeup artist for this. It's called in Finnish teekkarispeksi. So it's the theatre production of the University of Technology students. And I worked as a makeup artist there. And I do remember that 1 year I did do a body painting for one of the characters on stage because, it was kind of the production where I could do whatever I wanted because, only the director and myself, we were the only professionals, and all the rest, the actors and the dancers and the orchestra, everyone were students. So I was kind of given the freedom to do whatever. And I do remember doing some body painting there. But other than that, there was no body painting jobs anywhere. I saw body painting once a year at the Finnish makeup championships, because there was a body painting category. And it was usually the teams of 2 makeup artists who worked for that. And it was kind of like a one-off once a year, and just for the competition. I couldn't attend because I was in the board of the association, the Professional Makeup Artists of Finland, who organizes the competition. And I was the chairwoman for quite a few years, so I couldn't, I was the organizer, I couldn't attend. And then I do remember one of my friends, she did tell me quite often that if you ever want to practice body painting, I can model for you. I don't remember myself talking about it, but I do remember her talking to me that she could model for me. And then 2007, it was January time. Also, again, I can't remember. As we see, I'm getting so old, I don't remember these things. I found the World Body Painting Festival website. Have no clue how I found it, how I got there. But I noticed that, World Championships. Oh, okay, maybe I could attend there. No recollection why I thought this way. I called this friend of mine saying, you know what, I found this website, World Body Painting Festival. And she was like, yeah, let's go. And I was like, you don't know what I'm even talking about. Oh, never mind. I don't care. I'll be your model. And I think it was kind of like, I think I was intrigued about body painting, but I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have a reason to practice. But signing up for the World Championships kind of gave me a reason, because I couldn't go and compete there and make a fool of myself. So it kind of gave me a push that I have 6 months time to practice. And I remember at the time there was no social media and a thing. So I ordered some books and some magazines and DVDs from abroad, and self-practiced a little bit. And yeah, July 2007, we flew to Austria, where the competitions are still held nowadays. And it changed my world because, at the time, the festival was in a very, very small village by a mountain lake. And the whole village was just about body painting that week. There were hundreds of artists from around the world, and workshops and everything. And then the actual festival that lasted 3 days gathered about 20 to 30,000 people, visitors, just for it was an outdoor festival with music and food and all that. But the main focus was on body painting. And you saw these hundreds of different kinds of artworks from around the world on human bodies. I had never seen anything like it. And my first year, I competed in the brush and sponge category, which is the professionals, the main category. And I did make it to the finals. At the time, there were 2 rounds. So I did make it to the finals. We celebrated that as victory. I think I was 36th or something in the end results, but it was like, wow. And yeah, after that, I really didn't need any more motivation to practice, because it touched me so deeply. And I knew that I wanted to come again and again and again to the festival.
Right. So what was it a thing already in in the global world, because as you mentioned, it was rather a known thing in Finland?
Well, I think it wasn't as well known. I mean, the funny thing is, it is the most, like, it is the oldest art form in the world. People have been painting each other before they've painted the walls of the caves, I believe. They found tattoos on a mummy that was that dated back in something like 15,000 years before Christ or something like that. So it is a very, very old art form. But I feel that in the modern world, we've kind of alienated from that art in a way. So, and before like 2007, we didn't have social media. We didn't have Instagram and Facebook and all that. We did have internet, but that's it. So I think it didn't, like, the modern movement of body painting had yet to spread around the world in a way. But yeah, there were artists from 50 different countries. So people knew about the festival, but I suppose they probably all knew about it the same way as I did, just found it online. But yeah, they said to me, I remember one of my first friends in the body painting community from Netherlands, he said that when I said that, body painting is non-existent in Finland, he said to me, I think that was my first or second year in Austria, he said to me that 10 years before that, it was the same situation in Netherlands. But at the time, it had already grown to be more popular. So, and he suspected that it would change similarly in Finland and it would become more popular. Well, it did, but not as popular as in Netherlands. But yeah. Mm.
Well, that's an interesting fact that you can find those paintings for ancient mummies and all these.
Yeah, the mummies, they had tattoos. I think it was cool. I can't remember what he was named, but it was a mummy who had tattoos, and I'm sure people have painted each other before they figured out how to make the paintings permanent, i.e., tattoos. So it must be as old. And I mean, we all know it's a very inherent thing for us. It's very natural. We all know kids who would, found a pen and they've drawn on themselves or on their sibling because it just feels the kids don't know about body painting. They don't know what that term means, but it's just an instinct to pick a pen and draw on yourself.
Wow, that's really, really nice, like an aspect of that. And actually what I think we often try to avoid that our children behave like this, painting on themselves, climbing around, doing things like we like want to put them down, behave like in a box often.
Yeah, be civil. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like, and I do remember that like kids are told not to draw on themselves. Like it is kind of like a forbidden thing today. And look at me now. I get to paint on people.
I mean, but what was then the emotion? Did you experience something bigger when you saw this festival? What happened in you then you wanted to choose the body painting? Or
yeah, I think at first it was just, that it just looked amazing and I just wanted to learn more. And it was somehow really touching and really, I don't know, it was just amazing. But then after a few years, I remember telling everybody that, you can never make it to top 10 because, they are just the people who, they are artists who just do body painting. They do nothing else. And at the time I was still, so-called just a makeup artist. So I was doing beauty makeup. I was doing advertising, magazines, and makeup design for opera productions. But I wasn't, like, body painting seemed like a totally different thing. It was more art. Like, it was truly art. And I think, because I went back to the festival every year, I took workshops there, learned from the best in the world, and also practiced by myself. I like a lot. I think it was 2011 when, you know, every year I competed, I was somewhere around 36th, 37th, so 38th or something like that. 2011, I was suddenly 6th. And it was the kind of like, oh my God, I'm 6th. I'm in top 10 where I thought I would never, ever be. That I thought that would be impossible place to get to. And the same year, actually, interesting. I always remember the 6th place because that was in the professional category. And that kind of makes, I feel, in a way, I look that in really, really high regard. But there is also a UV category, which was a limited spaces only, 15 places, I think. And you had to apply for that category. And I remember 2011, I came 3rd in that. I had a lovely French girl as my model. She was pole dancer. And we were the first ones to take a dancing pole to the festival stage. And I did a UV paddy painting on her. She did this amazing performance. We came 3rd. So I was actually, world champion, 3rd place at the time in UV, but I came 6th in the professionals category, and that was huge for me. And I think that year, it hit me that, okay, I always thought I could never make it to top 10. Now I'm 6th. Oh my God. Could I one day win? Because it was kind of like a reality check that, hold on, you've achieved something you thought you'd never achieve. And now you're here. And it wasn't that difficult. I mean, yeah, it was difficult, but it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? So I think that year it became my dream that one day I will win. And, at the time, one day I want to win. Will win came later. But one day I want to win. And if I won one day, maybe this could be something that makes me stand out from other makeup artists in Finland. Maybe this could be something that I could make my career and my kind of like signature, something that I know the best. And then 2012, I was 22nd, so kind of like back to lower place. And then 2013, I was 2nd. And it's interesting because that year, I remember my friend, she had studied NLP. She told me that you have to repeat yourself. You have to tell yourself that you can win. So I did. I did tell myself in front of a mirror, I can win, I can win, I can win. Yeah, so I came 2nd. She was right. Yeah, I proved myself. I can win, but I didn't win. I can win. 2nd place, yeah. But then the next year I changed it to I will win. And it's actually interesting because I thought I was going to settle for the 2nd place because at the time already in, the newspapers in Finland were writing about me. There were more requests for body painting for events, for example. So it was kind of like I was already making a name for myself and body painting was becoming more popular, which was kind of my end goal. And then 2014, people were obviously asking if I'm going to compete for the victory. And I was like, no, because I'm very competitive, like very. And it was, even though I kind of enjoyed the buzzing at the feeling of it, it was still so stressful. And I knew that I would only be happy with the one place, which is the 1st spot. And if I came 2nd or 3rd, I'd be so disappointed. So, but then I was asked, because of my 2nd place, in 2013, I was asked to go to South Korea in the autumn. It was, they had a big body painting festival in Daegu. I was asked to go and be in the jury over there and a special artist. And one of the competitors there, they like most of the competitors there were from South Korea, but then there was some foreign artists as well, and one was Scott Frey from USA. Scott was at the time, I think he had already won 5-time world championships, like every main category at the festival, and he was competing there, and it was really it was kind of like interesting that I was judging him. But he was asking me like, Riina, are you going to Austria, for the victory this year, like next year? And I was like, no. And he was like, why not? You have to go. Everybody wants you to win. This is your year. You have to go. You have to go. You won't forgive yourself if you don't go and if you miss this opportunity. And I was like, yeah, we'll see. Okay, a month later, I myself competed in the North American Championships. And there was another artist. She was in the jury, actually. Bella. She's she's from Bulgaria, but lives in Austria nowadays. And really experienced visual artist. And she asked me the same thing as Scott did. Are you going to compete for the victory? And I was like, no. And she gave me the exact same speech. Riina, everybody wants you to win. Riina, this is your year. You have to go. Also, interesting fact, they are both born in the same day. So I felt like there's kind of something universe is trying to tell me, some synergy thing. And
definitely.
Yeah. So, so I decided, okay, maybe I'll go. And I'll just work so hard that there is no other way than winning. And I changed the saying to myself, which previous year was, I can win. I changed it to, I will win. And I repeated literally every single day for the whole spring in front of the mirror. I will win. I will win. And I was visualizing myself in my head, how I'm going to win. I'm going to be the second after the first round, and I'm going to rise to the victory, and how they're going to announce me, how the presenter is going to announce me to the stage. And I visualized everything. And interestingly, it all happened exactly that way. So I was second after the first round. I rose to the victory, and
no way.
They said exactly those words that I had imagined. And when I was on stage and I was holding the trophy, and there were the fireworks going next to me, and it's an outdoor festival, so there was just a really dark night sky, and I was looking at I was lifting the trophy and looking at the sky, and then there was "We Are the Champions" by Queen playing at the back, and I remember thinking, I've seen this somewhere. And yeah, I had seen exactly that moment. And it was my dream come true. And I think that kind of changed. I can't remember what your initial question was, by the way.
Me neither.
I don't know if I'm replying to your question, but
it's good. I'm just listening because this is super interesting story of this. Really visualizing and be able to imagine how the things will happen, and it's crazy how the mind is connected in everything, and it seems
it's
unbelievable.
It's something like I after that. I've really believed in manifestation, and in the sense of not in the way that, if I just sit here on my couch at home, I'll become a world champion. No, you actually have to work for it. You have to do the work at whatever it is that you want. But if you can visualize it, I feel that you can make it possible. It's just a matter of how you make it possible then. But if you have your focus on something that you really, really want, I think you see the opportunities and you choose the right things that lead you to that. place. But it's and I ever since I feel that okay, anything is possible. I never like, even though already as a young child I thought everything is possible in a way, and I've always kind of believed that I'm capable. I never ever imagined I'd become a world champion in anything. But once you do, it kind of opens your eyes like, oh, okay, actually, I'm one of the best in the world. And why not? Why couldn't I do anything else that I want? Of course I can.
And that was exactly like 10 years ago in 2014.
Yes. Oh my God, 10 years ago.
I'm sure that was like one of your, or was it a risky decision really to try to go and reach the first position, the world championship? At the end, was it like, okay, everybody tells me this? Did you have any doubts, any fears in that moment?
Oh yeah, I did. Of course I did. That's one of the reasons why I thought I wouldn't go. So I needed to overcome the fears. And I do remember, interesting fact, there's a trend in body painting that started a few years before that, painting human faces on a body. It's one of those things that, you can paint whatever you want, but obviously competition pieces are always representing something. They're objective, like they look realistic in a way. You can't do just an abstract painting and win the world championships. Like the ones behind me, these would never win because they're very abstract. So in the competition piece, there always have to be things that look realistic and 3D, and it's, that your painting has to tell a story. And for some reason, it became a trend that artists started painting human faces, because the human face is very difficult to paint, even on a normal canvas. So, and it kind of became the thing that whether you could paint them or not, you still painted them. Except that I didn't. I tried once, I think it was my second year, and I gave up. I thought, okay, this is not me. I can't do this. And I decided to paint something that I can paint. And when I came sixth, 2011, I remember thinking, okay, so I need to paint really, really well, and I need to paint better than all those people who paint faces if I want to ever win, because I'm not going to paint the faces because I just can't. To this date, I can't paint a human face, which is interesting, isn't it? I've been a makeup artist for 23 years. I know human face. Literally, I know it, and I can't paint it on a blank paper. It just, I can paint animals, I can paint whatever, but not a human face. Anyway, so 2014, I remember my final piece, the second round. I changed it, the design, which I had practiced in advance from weeks, months before the competition. I changed it the night before because before the final, because I realized, okay, it's too simple. I had first of all, the theme for that round was artificial intelligence. How current was that?
Yes.
And I did my painting. My piece was called "I Live, I Die," as in iPhone apps. Small I and then die. I live, I die. Yeah. And it was my piece was. I told a story about how we are married to our mobile phones, and how one day mobile phones will control our lives from birth to death. And we have these different kinds of apps that control our lives. We had I breathe, I eat, I sleep, I move, all these apps, and I painted the icons and on the body. And and then it was interesting because then what happened, my story, I can't remember how the story went, but it was really funny, I have to say. And then what happened was that we had all these apps, and then the mobile phones, they controlled our lives, as I said, from birth to death. So when it was your time to die, you needed to update your system to the IDI, which is the system, the the app system 2.0, which is called IDI. And when you update that, it kills you with an electric shock, and then sends you invitations to all your friends and family to your funeral, organizes the funeral, and makes all the arrangements for you. So this was basically what I was predicting at the time.
Wow, that's super
yeah,
interesting, and really like you've seen the future.
Yeah, tell me about it. How married are we now with our phones? Anyway, so I had in the painting, I had a tree of life painted in the middle with the icons on the branches. And I decided the night before the final that, okay, the tree of life won't cut it. So I changed the tree trunk to be a couple, a human couple who were embracing each other. And but even those bodies, their faces were completely blank. And because I can't paint a human face. So, and I remember the painting turned out the best I had ever done it. It was brilliant. And we were queuing to the jury tent. And I think there were about, maybe from the first round, maybe the first 7 were so good that they could have, had they succeeded really well, they could have risen to the victory. And I remember standing in the queue, seeing all the other 6 from the top 6 paintings, and thinking, "Oh my God, I'm not going to win. I don't have human faces, and all the others have." Everybody else had human faces painted on the body, and I was like, "Okay, that's it. I'm not going to win. My painting looks amazing, but now I'm not going to win. I'm going to win." And it's interesting. I was really, really, really upset. And I remember kind of losing all the hope I had. And then my brilliant assistant, Jana, she was like, she had this good control over me. And she just goes, she literally shouted at me, saying, "Riina, now stop it. Now stand there, take the power pose, and believe in this work of yours. It's fucking brilliant." And I don't know if you've heard of power pose, but that was the year that we looked at the TED Talk. I found the TED Talk from Amy Cuddy, and I can't remember how I found it, but she basically did the TED Talk about the power pose and how we can fool our bodies to believe that we can, win. And she showed this power pose with the hands on your hips and being really open. And I think the study proved that if you stand there for that minimum 2 minutes, it increases your cortisol levels and makes you perform better. So we had been practicing this with Jana, my assistant, and our model, Sonja. And Jana shouted at me and in the queue, when we were queuing to the jury tent, "Take the power pose and believe in your fucking work. It's so amazing." So I just had to obey, and that's what we did. And as I stepped into the jury tent, I remember thinking, right before that, my face was like, "Oh my God." And when they opened the curtain to the tent, I went like, "Hello." And apparently I did really well. I did win.
Yeah.
But I do remember I was the first one to win without painted human faces on the body.
But again, you did what you felt that is correct, or what you felt that you should do, even though, again, the others choose another path. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But Riina, now you have, after that, we are 2024, you have 10 years on top of that, gaining experience, being a professional in body paint. Tell us a little bit at the end of this podcast. You want to offer this transformative body painting experience. What makes body painting so unique at the end?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked because this is what I love talking about. Because I mean, usually body painting, people think it's like nowadays it's considered art, which is excellent, and people see that as something incredible and artistic. Usually, it's beautiful, it's colorful, it's visually very appealing. That's why it works really well in advertising and events and festivals and everywhere, because it catches people's eyes. We are all interested in the human body, so it's just amazing to watch and see the transformation, the visual transformation happen. But what I've learned throughout the years is the effect body painting has on a person who's being painted. And you probably know this yourself. As you mentioned in the beginning, you've been my model a few times. We've done these wonderful projects together. It's the it doesn't only touch your skin, but through that it touches your inner divinity, I suppose I could say. It's it makes you feel, because you're basically very vulnerable when you're being painted, especially, if you don't know me, or even if you know me, you are standing in front of another person without your clothes on, and you can't use your mobile phone, you can't do anything but stand, and the other person comes and touches you with her brushes and starts creating art on you. And basically what I do when I create my art, I see you as a canvas, but I also see you as a person, of course. But I don't judge you. I accept you the way you are, and I create my art on you the way you are. And the art is not, because of that, it's not just my art, I feel. There's always the energy between you and me that affects the end result, that affects the final painting. And it's a very deep human connection, very authentic, but in a way it's a very primal. As I said, it's the oldest art form in the world. It's and because of that, because I accept you the way you are, and it makes you feel empowered, because I see you. You don't have to pretend to be anybody else. You don't have to pretend to be anything but yourself. And being yourself enables me to create this amazing art piece on you. And you become the art. You are the art. You make my art come alive. You make it move. And so what people tell me, and I've experienced it myself, because I painted myself as well. That's another story. But I know that it makes you feel liberated. It increases your self-confidence and acceptance for yourself, like your acceptance towards yourself and towards your body. You reconnect with your body in a different way, and you see your body in a different way. And that's the transformation that I love seeing happen. And I love that I get to do something that makes you want to go look at yourself in the mirror and go like, wow, I look amazing. We don't often say that to ourselves, especially without our clothes on in front of a mirror. Oh, I look amazing. Doesn't happen very often. But you kind of like, the painting makes you see something that I think you wouldn't see otherwise. And so it's a very transformative experience inside and out. It's something that I don't think there's anything like it in the world.
Yeah, me too. I think that way, because I remember when we were doing this art piece, actually we did it outside.
Mm-hmm. Outdoors, yes.
Camouflage sort of thing. And of course, you've been painting me various of times. And what I can tell based on my experience, it's like, as you mentioned, you feel this vulnerability. You need to just stand there. You cannot escape even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You sort of, you be there and accept, okay, you need to come near me, you need to touch me in different ways, look at me in different angles, far, near. It's really like full experience of sort of being human, because
Yeah.
without any, that's the special thing, because you do it with your hands. We don't need any mobile phones and all this technical stuff. Maybe one camera if you want to take picture, but like nothing else. And what made that special for me, when we were outdoors, when you can also unite with the nature, sort of, and sort of feel to be part something bigger, and just the way you are. It's like, I think everyone should get that feeling at least once in their life. It's really unique and interesting. And I think when you do it, not only when you do it once, but when you maybe do it again, it's not the same every time. Maybe you find different parts, you feel different. It depends on many things, and you always learn something different from yourself.
Yeah. It is. And I feel that now that we are in RisknFlow podcast, it is a risk worth taking to be painted. And I feel that it's like, for me as well, it's always a risk to paint somebody as well, in a way, because I as I said, I've learned this inner power this art form has within the past, well, quite a few years. But it's still always challenging. Like, I'm still thinking myself, okay, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to create the kind of artwork that makes you feel good about yourself? And I do every time when I trust the flow, because the flow becomes from the energy that we share. And it's very touching how transformative the experience can be. And I actually have to, if I have time to mention, I had this client last weekend who wanted to, like, as I said, body painting is always, it's very often about joy and beauty and kind of like celebration of something, positive. She wanted to commemorate her son, who had died maybe 6 months ago, at 16, tragically, for a drug overdose. And she wanted to create a piece that would respect his memory. And she sent me these photos that her son had taken. And I chose some motifs from those photos that I painted on her. And then, as a surprise for her, I also chose one of those pictures to be the background of the final image and the final artwork. And I think that was probably one of the most difficult and most emotional paintings I've ever created, because she put so much trust on me to create this artwork on her that would be for her son that she had lost. And she was like, she's in so much pain and sorrow still. And then she, in the end, she said that she wrote a testimonial, like a message on her Instagram, and saying that she felt like part of the joy, like part of the sadness was replaced with joy. And maybe sun will shine one day again. And the final image looks really amazing. I'm really proud of it, and she loves it, which is the most important thing. And it kind of encaptures everything that she wanted from that experience. But I had never ever thought that you could, like, even though people come to me, they tell their stories, they all have reasons why they want to experience this, why they want to reconnect with themselves. And I never thought that you could use body painting to deal with a life situation like that. And it worked amazingly. And yeah, I'm so grateful I got to be part of it. Just so amazing.
Wow, that sounds really, really wonderful that you really can enlighten the memory you have and sort of live with it and maybe heal somehow through that experience.
Yeah, I'm not a therapist and this is not therapy, but many people say that it's very healing. Yeah.
I have one last question for you, Riina. Okay, you have an amazing story, amazing history. You've been entrepreneur 20 plus years, but do you still have any dreams, any maybe fears related to your career? Do you want to still reach something, bigger goals even? What do you have in the pocket for the future?
Well, I would, if you don't mind, I wouldn't like to talk about fears. I mean, I might have fears, but I don't want to concentrate on those. Because what I've learned is that if I concentrate on the fears, they will control me and they will stop me from doing and achieving what I want. You have to overcome the fears and you have to, I'd rather see the opportunities. I'd rather see the goals and the dreams and concentrate on those rather than fears. And that's something that I've been dealing with for the past 2 years, like a lot with myself. And I've kind of trained myself to believe in my capabilities and possibilities a lot more. So about goals, I definitely, I want to create more of these transformative experiences to people. I want to also take them further. I have this exclusive fine art experience, which I'm offering now as well, which means that you actually get an artwork like this behind me on your home wall. So it kind of takes the body painting experience to the next level. And these masterpieces is something that I really want to create. I want to offer them to people because I know from my previous clients that they are artworks that they cherish year after year. And very, very unusual and once in a lifetime thing to do. And I want to extend my clientele abroad. Definitely. Because Finland is a very small country, very small market. And yeah, and then my ultimate goal is to work with Alicia Keys. So Alicia, if you're listening, if somebody knows Alicia Keys, Girl on Fire is my power song. It's been my power song since I won the World Championships. And it's my anthem. And I feel that Alicia Keys embodies many of the things that I really value. And she speaks about the same things that I do: appreciating yourself, believing in yourself, accepting yourself, taking care of yourself, reconnecting with yourself. And I would love to work with her, like create something amazing for her and with her. That's my ultimate goal. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, saying it out loud definitely makes it more real.
Yeah.
But Riina, I'm super grateful you were here today, and I'm the one who look up to you because you're like an entrepreneurial superstar, because you just, from your early days, you just going towards your dreams, your career goals, entrepreneurship, risks you're taking, and as we mentioned, this transformative effect and experience of body paint. It's really, I can say it from my heart that it really changes you as a human, and everybody should try it all over the world. I'm sure your dreams come true, and they are not just dreams, they are reality. I would say that.
Yeah,
Thank you, Riina.
It's just a matter of time when they happen. Yes, I agree, and I believe that. And I thank you for your words, and I'm really happy that you invited me to talk about my career and about body painting. I can never talk too much about it. And I'm really happy that the collaborations that we've done, that they've had such a profound effect on you, because it
truly is amazing experience. Thank you, Riina.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
RisknFlow says thank you for the listeners and viewers, and we see in the next episode again. Bye bye.